Larry and Ted podcast is sponsored by the UPS Store Canada.
And so it begins, the new episode of the Standing By podcast. I'm trying to think of, ways to start up again, and I come up with these dumb thoughts at night. So just smack me if you need to. Hi, Ted.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm okay. Terry DeMonte and Ted Bird. It's the Wednesday, October 9th edition of the Standing By podcast, now weekly, wherever you get your podcasts.
With new and improved email.
That's right. Shall we tell everybody what the email is, Ted?
Sure, go ahead, because I don't remember.
The Standing By podcast
at gmail.com.
Is that right? Let me just double check.
There,
that.
you remembered the first half of it.
Yep,
I
very
remembered
good.
the second half.
No, not the. Standing By the podcast. Right.
At gmail.com.
Yes.
Standing by the podcast at gmail.com.
That is correct.
Standing by the podcast at gmail.com. Standing by the podcast at gmail.com.
Send us a note.
Yeah.
Yes, we would like
Ask
to.
us what we're on about.
Yes.
What in the name of sweet baby Jesus are you two on about?
Now, and by the way, thank you for all the kind comments on the Standing By Facebook page.
And even the unkind ones.
And even because
have there been unkind ones?
No, I don't think
there
haven't
have
seen
been,
any.
actually.
We've had some really, really lovely commentary and some nice email that we've answered a couple of the emails. I
think we've answered most of them.
Most of them, yeah. We were admonished for plastic water bottles, and I apologize. There's plastic water bottles on the desk again today, but that's because it's extremely dry, and we haven't come up with a solution yet. But we're going to.
We tried cupping the water in our hands, but you can't sit like this for an hour and go.
Let's get this out of the way. Make fun of my shirt, please.
I was wondering about your shirt.
If you're watching on YouTube. I have Grover on
I see that, yeah.
Yes.
Shit, if I'd known you were going to wear that, I would have worn my Chester the Cheetah Cheetos. I've got a bright orange Chester the Cheetah Cheetos shirt, and I've been waiting for an occasion. This would have been perfect.
I should have told you what I was going to wear. Jess bought this for me. She found it.
You don't need to tell me what you're going to wear.
Well, no. So we
do a wardrobe check now?
No. Jess bought this for me a couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Do you think I should wear that on the podcast?"
Why not?
She said, "Yeah." Grover is my favorite Sesame Street character, and Grover was with me at the hospital for 30 plus days. We have a little Grover at home, and Jess, even when I was unconscious, had Grover next to me while she held my hand, and it means a lot to us. So that's why this shirt I'm wearing today.
If you're not familiar with what Terry's referencing, It was the time he almost died.
Yes.
Yeah. After open heart surgery and complications set in.
You can go back in our episodes and see the episode with Jess.
That's right. That's a great episode.
Yeah.
Terry's wife, Jess, talks about his time in the hospital and his flirtation with the next world and getting through that.
Yeah.
It was a great episode.
Yeah, it's not dark.
Not at all.
It's interesting.
Yeah. And it's quite inspiring, actually. It's a bit of a love story.
My wife Jess is the guest on that because I was unconscious for most of the time. She took the worst of it.
I shouldn't say it's a bit of a love story. It's a lot of a love story. It's a nice episode.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to cry.
Yeah. Okay.
May as well get started early.
Today we have a guest on the phone. We're going to talk about a New York Times article that appeared in the New York Times, oddly enough.
Really?
Yes. That talked about places to get wine in Montreal. I thought my friend Lesley Chesterman would talk about that and Thanksgiving. So that's coming up. We're going to talk about Tom Petty. We're going to talk about the Canadians' blood drive. We're going to talk about something I like on Netflix. Also, Ted has some things he'd like to talk about, too. It's all coming up on the episode. Brought to you by our good friends at the UPS Store Canada. The UPS Store Canada is our title sponsor, have been since... many years now.
For these many years.
Yes.
At least 2.
Yeah, and David Drucker, who is the, as we call him, the emperor of the UPS stores across the country, has a really, really great philosophy about how those stores should be run. They're all franchises. They're all owned by entrepreneurs like you in your community. And David has a little bit of a university with them before they get started. And it's all about customer service. It's all about solving your problems. And it's all about the pride that they take in that logo and the UPS Stores Canada across the country. And I'm telling you, no matter where you're listening to this, there's a store within shouting distance of you. And they can solve so many of your problems if you're running a business at home. They can solve so many of your problems if you're moving. They can solve your problems if you've got stuff you need to ship and you haven't done any shipping in a while. They can tackle it all for you. What are you chuckling
Nothing.
at? Nothing? Okay.
I haven't shipped in days. And I think I need to go to the doctor. Oh, shipping. Sorry, David.
There was an ad campaign based around that. Have you ever seen that on YouTube?
No.
You can ship your pants. I can ship my pants. I didn't know you could ship your pants. I forget who it was for, but it was a great ad campaign. Anyway, what you do is you go to the UPS store in your neighborhood. We have one in your neighborhood, Ted.
There's one on Sources in DDO. If you're on the West Island, there's another one on St. Charles in DDO. If you're off island to the west, in the Walmart in Vaudreuil, and also on the island of Parrots on Donkey Shot, and all across the greater Montreal area. You'll always, as Terry says, there's one within shouting distance. You could throw a rock and hit a UPS store. You might have to pick it up and throw it a second time if you're as old as I am and your arm's not what it used to be.
You can go online and find a store near you. All right, let's call our guest, shall we? I'm calling our guest. Poseidon, am I doing the right thing? I am. I can hear the guest. I can hear the phone ringing in the background there.
Hello.
Lesley Chesterman.
Monte and Ted Bird.
How do you do, young lady?
How are you, Les?
Well, I just finished eating a massive cinnamon bun and 2 cups of coffee, so I'm feeling good.
Okay, now, was this a cinnamon bun that you put together?
Yes, this is a cinnamon bun that I made, but it's not the one from my book because I saw another recipe and I thought, let's try another recipe. Mistake.
Oh,
one in my book is far superior.
Well,
yeah, it was an 8 on 10 cinnamon bun, not a 9 on 10.
Listen, I haven't spoken to you in a long time, and we've kept in touch by email, of course. And you probably know, but I'm going to gush about your book because it now is the Bible in the DeMonte household. Jess uses...
Yes, well, as it should be. I'm very happy to hear that.
We don't eat... the Caesar salad that we eat is your recipe.
Oh, my God. I know. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah,
unbelievable. Right. The bread that she makes comes out of your book. She just... Every time I look at Jess in the kitchen, she's got your book on the stand. It's unbelievable.
Well, Jess has immaculate taste, as we well know, and she really knows how to pick a winner. And I'm happy to hear it's a Bible in your house. Should be a Bible in everybody's house. But it's actually it's funny because I actually have my book on the counter every day. And the other day, I said to my kids, I said, "Do you think I should cook something else for dinner or just what's in my book? Like, do you think we should go Chinese?" Like they looked at me. They're like, "Yeah, maybe, Mom. Maybe. We just can't keep eating stuff from your book." So. Time to write another book. That's what I say. Yeah.
Before we go any further, Terry, you better give the name of the book so people can write it down and find it online.
Yeah, by the way, Lesley, there's an English version coming, isn't there?
Yes. Well, there is. So there's my first book is Chez Lesley, and then in English it's called Make Every Dish Delicious. And then I have another book in French called Un Weekend Chez Lesley, which will come out in a year in English, and it will be even better because it has a Montreal angle.
And these books there's another one coming because the books have been very successful, haven't they?
Yes. I won 2 really big awards this year for the English and the French books, which was kind of a first that nobody's ever won the best general cookbook in English and French the first year. I don't even know if anybody's won it in English and French. So, that's super important to me that my book first came out in French, although I am English, just because the local market is actually a much better market than the whole Canadian market, where there's, you kind of are known in Quebec, even if you're English, but the rest of Anglo-Canada doesn't mean that they know who you are. The local market is a really good one.
We feel the same way about a podcast because the podcast we're doing is a Montreal-based, Montreal-directed podcast. And is supported by Montreal businesses. So why not? I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny how we don't necessarily always translate to the rest of Canada. It's something that I kind of didn't realize. I guess we're big fish in little ponds or little fish in large ponds. I don't know, but But it is a pretty big country, and every province has its own people. And so to break into the rest of Canada, and it doesn't even always make sense. Like if you guys are talking about Montreal-based things, how will people in Vancouver relate? And yet you guys want to talk about Montreal-based things because there's enough here to cover it. So I totally get it. Yeah.
That's why I came back. That's why I moved home.
Yes,
I missed it. And this,
I talk about moving all the time, Terry, and it's funny about your story about coming home, but also I do worry about that. As much as we gripe about stuff going on here 24/7. Does everybody gripe where, like, if you're in Tuscany, are you saying, there are too many olive trees, I can't take all this beautiful pasta, if I eat another porcini, I'll be sick, all this red wine is making me fat? I mean, obviously we gripe about wherever we are. So I figure, at least, and I always think you're in a city when you know how to get around. I mean, even if you use Google Maps or Waze or whatever, if you recognize the names of the streets, I'm always afraid of driving around a new city and getting lost.
Well,
isn't that funny? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's a comfort thing, Les, and also to answer your question, people piss and moan about a lot of things in Vancouver too. Out in British Columbia, there was lots of things to complain about, but none of them. No. I didn't care about any of them. None of them resonated with me because it wasn't home.
Exactly, and a real gripe is something that you felt for decades.
Yes.
It's like I go downtown and I'm still upset that there's no Lowe's Theater downtown. And the Swenson's next to the Lowe's Theater to me was like the most beautiful thing in the world.
Yeah.
And so I can't even drive past that corner without turning around to my kids and saying, there used to be a theater here called the Lowe's, and we'd get a big chocolate sundae afterwards, and they'd roll their eyes at me like, "Can you please shut up about the Lowe's Theater?" But I'm like, "It was epic. We saw Burt Reynolds movies." And then they're like, "Who's Burt Reynolds?" So it's like, I give up.
It's not good for your mental health. It's not.
But my kids don't know who Burt Reynolds is. It breaks my heart. Yeah. Anyway.
Les, this is reminiscent of when you used to join me every Wednesday on the radio show.
Yes, I never had to wake up so early in my life.
Yeah, and boy, we used to have such great conversations and so much fun. And
we did.
Out of those chats, I learned that Thanksgiving was your favorite holiday. So I thought of you this week, and I thought it might be nice to have you on to talk about your likes and dislikes about Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, I'm upset. Like, I was just writing about this today. I have a Substack called Lick My Plate where I write about this. So I decided it's time to write about turkeys. I don't write about it soon. It's going to be over. And I'm drooling writing about the gravy. I mean, I have some kind of Pavlov's dog reflex when I think of Thanksgiving that I'm suddenly like, oh my God, I'm already excited. And it's, a week away. No, it's 6 days away. And so it really is. I don't know what it is, because I live with a French-Canadian separatist who, when I talk about Thanksgiving, he's a wine writer, so he's excited to choose the wine. I mean, not even that excited, but he's like, oh, not turkey again. And I'm like, okay, that's it. We're going to have to break up, because if you can't get on board with Thanksgiving, we don't have a future. We've been together for a long time, so obviously I win. And every year at Thanksgiving dinner, he goes, oh, this turkey's amazing. And then every year, a week before Thanksgiving, he's like, not turkey again. And I'm like,
Well, on Thanksgiving, what would the alternative be?
Nothing.
There you go.
Nothing. Okay, what the hell? Am I going to stuff a pumpkin with rice? Like, vegetarians are not welcome. If it's turkey or nothing. Right?
Yeah.
You can have a bowl of Brussels sprouts if you want. And so I like the sides too. I shouldn't cut down on the sides, because it's the Brussels sprouts, everything. I love it all.
What goes
People who don't like Brussels sprouts, I don't understand.
Well, let's start there, Lesley. How do you do your Brussels sprouts?
Right. I steam the Brussels sprouts, Terry. You can also boil them. You take off all the outer leaves, which tend to get kind of blackened because they're frost and stuff. So you take off those black leaves. You cut an X at the bottom, and you steam them until they're fork tender. Then you rinse them with cold water, because if you don't, they turn gray, and everybody complains at the table and says, oh my God, Brussels sprouts are the worst. You can also saute them with pancetta and then add some breadcrumbs over top.
Oh,
that's almost like a meal in its own. I don't do that for Thanksgiving, because already there's enough to do. I'm the slave in the kitchen. Although this year, I've already said to people, you're doing the Brussels sprouts, you're doing this, I've delegated.
Good.
And delegated, like, my kids are old enough to help instead of just sitting there trying to be witty, making jokes while the mother's slaving away. That's done. I'm done.
Is there a gravy secret?
Okay, the gravy secret is gravy is actually quite easy. What you roast the turkey, you put kind of all these aromatic things at the bottom, carrots, onions, blah, blah, blah. Then you add some flour, just a couple spoonfuls of flour. You put that over a burner, and then maybe this is the gravy secret. You pour in about a third of a bottle of white wine. Now, it doesn't have to be great white wine, but you pour wine in there, and then you add some chicken stock, and then you just let that reduce, and then you strain it. And Bob's your uncle. You got and you have to have you have to make a lot of gravy, okay? Because there's nothing worse than Thanksgiving dinner and somebody's like, pass the gravy, and it's like, it's done. And you're like, who the hell hogged the gravy, you know? Like, then you turn around, it's like one of your kids has a moat of gravy on their plate. You're like, give me that gravy. This is exactly what it's like at my table.
Are you allowed to sop up the gravy with a piece of bread at your table?
I don't do bread at the table anymore because there's enough of the rest.
Yeah, that's true.
There's that mountain of mashed potatoes. There has to be cranberry sauce. You know, I was late coming to the cranberry sauce boat, on the cranberry sauce boat, and now I quite love it. You need that little sweet and sour thing going on in the middle there, and your plate has to be packed. Yeah. Like if somebody comes to my house for Thanksgiving dinner and they're like, oh, a little bit of this, goodbye. Goodbye. What is that? Of a little bit. It's a feast. It's a feast. Okay, another thing, Thanksgiving. This is great, okay? Before anybody can eat anything, everybody at my table, and this sounds crazy, but it really works. Everybody has to say something they were thankful for that year.
Oh, that's
okay?
Nice.
That it is. And it's a great way to put everybody on the spot.
Yeah.
Because if my kids don't say, I'm thankful for having a great mother, they're doing the dishes like for a week. So this is a moment to see how much everybody at the table appreciates you or not. Okay. But I think this year there is so much for us to be grateful for with the world falling apart. Everything seems to be going depressingly badly around us. And we're so lucky here. I mean, not to get all sanctimonious now, but it's very true that this is a time that we should all be so thankful because we're in a country where we're not at war, where we don't have a crazy president. We don't, and well, we'll see what happens coming up. But no, there's a lot for us to be thankful for, and all that food on the table, which now costs more than ever. Brussels sprouts are like caviar these days when you go and buy them.
Wow.
So I make everybody say something that they're grateful for, and none of this, oh, I can't think of anything. So you tell people in advance. During the pre-cocktail, you put everybody in the corner. You say, by the way, this is what we do this year. And they're like, okay, Mom, okay. And so that's a good way to start it off.
That's why you have to have a couple of cocktails so you can be brave enough to talk
yes,
about
my
what
son is working on a cranberry cocktail.
Okay.
They're gonna be so that you can then people can't go on too long. It's not like you can list you don't have a laundry list of things you're grateful for. You got like one, maybe two. That's it. Next.
Now,
you see what I mean?
Speaking of drinking, did you see the piece in the New York Times about where to drink wine in Montreal?
I actually did see that.
And
I did see that.
What did you think of that? Some of the restaurants I recognize, like obviously L'Express and La Vein
Mon Lapin.
Yeah, Mon Lapin. But a couple of other ones I didn't recognize. What did you think of the list?
It's funny because I don't go out to eat very much at all anymore. Having gone out to eat for 20 years straight, I'm now watching restaurants have gotten so expensive, to be honest. I mean, I appreciate all the work they do. I understand why they're expensive, but I can't afford to go more than once a month. So I'm not really up on what the hot new restaurants are. So I think there are a lot of new restaurants on that list, but I think no matter what list comes out like that, you will always be saying, hey, why isn't Foxy on there, which is an amazing restaurant for wine? Or why isn't Le Méac actually has a great wine list too? L'Express is always brought up, which does have a great wine list. I think it's fun, but I think there will always be people who are left out. But I think he did pretty well. Eric Asimov, the writer who wrote that, he comes to Montreal quite often. And so he kind of knows the scene. And, they can't put 15 places. So I think they did well.
I was interested. Yeah. One caught my eye just because of its name, Vin. That's I guess you serve wine there then.
Absolutely. And there's another place called the Rouge Gorge, which is very well known, but it's kind of more of a wine bar with a little bit of food than a restaurant with wine. And there's another place called Bar à Vin. Montreal is known, as he wrote in the article, we're really known for our wine scene. So I'm glad they come up. And, Americans now with the exchange, I was in New York State in the summer, and every time I would do an exchange and, I'd put in $45.50 would come out of the exchange. You know what I mean? Like the exchange is so frightening.
Yeah.
That I think we'll see a lot of tourists coming up, and those articles really help. And every time I talk to New Yorkers in the food scene, they're like, Montreal, we love Montreal, which is so great to hear because there's a lot to love around here.
Lesley Chesterman is a longtime food critic and author of soon to be 3 cookbooks. Lesley, what was the last dinner you had out?
Oh, well, I went out to a restaurant called Le Mousseau last week.
Okay.
Le Mousseau is run by a fellow called Antonin Mousseau-Rivard, who is actually Michel Rivard's son.
Oh.
Yeah, interesting. Eh?
Yeah.
And his mother is an artist.
Wow.
And he has a very, very artistic restaurant down on Ontario near what used to be Amherst, around there, around St. Hubert, kind of Saint-André around there. And that menu, hold on to your chairs, boys. That menu is $250 per person.
What?
Before wine.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it really is, yikes, wow. I mean, it's like a concert ticket. And but the thing is that this is an interesting restaurant. They're kind of, you don't go to this restaurant because you're hungry. You go to this restaurant because you want an experience. You see what I mean? It's a whole new thing, this experience. So there are a lot of really interesting, very artistic dishes. The chef comes out with every course and tells you what you're about to eat, and there's very fancy wines, orange wines, purple wines, all kinds of wines, and it's a real experience. I can't say, I mean, halfway through I kind of said to myself, maybe I want a steak and Caesar salad, maybe I don't want the octopus testicles with the umami and the roasted cherry tomato with the, you know what I mean? You're looking down, you're like, what is this? And they're like, this is breast milk sorbet. And you're like, I don't think I want this. No, they didn't. They didn't do that. But you see what I mean? It's like this esoteric evening. And it's like a real experience. And I know that he wants to get a Michelin star. So this is the kind of food that gets a lot of attention, and he really gives it his all. They have a big team, and it was quite something. I'm gonna have to write something about that one day, but it was kind of the polar opposite of the macaroni and cheese eating it in front of the fridge at midnight. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing.
Next time I go to the restaurant, I'm going to say, I'll have the purple wine.
Right. Yeah. I'll have the purple one, and I would like to taste the octopus testicles. Thank you very much for that.
I think orange wine
is getting really out there.
All right, Lesley, let's tell people where they can find you. You've got a Substack going. Tell me how that works.
I do. It's called Lick My Plate, because when I like food a lot, I tend to go into the next room and lick my plate.
Okay.
Sometimes I do it at the table, depending how much wine I've had. And so Lick My Plate. I'm also on Radio Canada quite often on the Penelope Show. And here and there. And I'm working on a new book now about food and wine. So that's what I do during the day. I'm drinking wine and eating food. It's a tough life, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's what happens when you're quote unquote retired from the different media outlets. You got to find something to do. So exactly.
And it's kind of and then you choose to do what actually you want to do. So that's
exactly.
much more interesting.
Yeah. Lesley, thanks.
Well, happy Thanksgiving, you guys,
doing this.
And Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah,
and it's always good fun to talk to you two, because you laugh at my jokes.
Yes, I love having you, and I miss talking to you every Wednesday morning. Yeah. So, let's try and see if we don't see each other avant Noël. Let's see each other après Noël.
Au revoir.
Okay.
Au revoir.
All
okay.
Right. Merci.
Bye, les gars.
Bye.
Bonne journée. Bye.
Toi aussi. Bye-bye. That's Lesley Chesterman. She used to be on the radio show every Wednesday, and we always had a nice long chat. And she's very, very talented in the kitchen. I've been lucky enough to been at her house for dinner a few times, and I wasn't kidding about Jess in the kitchen. She loves Lesley's cookbook, and I love the fact that it's local. It's a very successful book, and it's local.
It's my understanding that orange wine pairs best with octopus.
I didn't know that.
Testicles.
I didn't know that. I didn't get a chance to get into it with her, and doing the Bluetooth thing on the whatchamacallit there was hard. Like she was having trouble hearing us when we went to ask a question, especially when you went to ask a question. I don't like the experience thing. I don't want to go for theater. I want to go to eat.
Yeah, if I'm going to a restaurant, that's why I like places like Marvin's.
Yes. Yeah. No theater there.
No, sir. But great food. Great food. I'm not going to pay for ambiance. I'm paying for the food.
Now, what do you do for Thanksgiving now, Ted?
I go to Zach's.
Do you?
I wait and see who invites me first, and I say yes.
Yes.
And this year, it's my buddy Zach's inviting me over to his folks' place.
Okay. And do you bring a dish?
Well, I've said to him, what do you need me to bring?
Yes.
He's, Sled, it's Tuesday. We got 5 days. Relax. One day at a time. Stay in your day. I'll let you know.
So this is a thing. Do you find this now that you're not working, that you need to plan things, like you want to know what's happening on, if you got to go somewhere Friday, you start thinking about which what highway are you going to take and what are you going to bring, and it's only Monday?
No.
Okay.
Because, partly because I've been in AA for 27 years, and the mantra is one day at a time, stay in your day.
Okay.
So, I don't.
I wish I knew how to do that.
You just do it.
Yeah. Well, Jess says to me all the time that I always have trouble living in the moment, and she attributes that to the fact that I was on a morning radio show for so long.
Yeah.
So that you're always thinking about what I'm doing at 7:30 has to make sense at 8:00. So you're always thinking forward.
Yeah. I find that since I've been forcibly semi-retired, I don't even know what day it is. Like, I have to think about what day it is.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I like that a lot.
What day is it?
Yeah, because then every day is like Friday. When you don't have to when you don't have to work tomorrow, every day's Friday.
Yeah. The money part is fun with the working. I like the money part.
I like the money part.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. And that's why I don't, eat octopus testicles, because I can't afford them. Thank God. Kind of a blessing in disguise.
Excuse me. By the way, Lesley Chesterman, if you're into, food and wine, and her husband is the wine critic. I didn't get a chance to say this. Her husband is a wine critic, the wine critic for Le Devoir. And he works at Le Devoir, and it kind of matches his love of separatism.
Right. I didn't know. Do you know if he's seen Sugar Sammy yet?
Yeah, I'm sure he has.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful man. We have terrific conversations. He doesn't dislike anybody, and he speaks perfect English. Just wants his own country.
There you go.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It's
You all right? He stalled. I'm going to push you, and you pop the clutch, okay?
Just wanted to mention, if you're looking for the article, the New York Times article, it's called Where to Drink Wine in Montreal. It says it's hard to go wrong in this city, but at these 9 casual restaurants and bars, you'll find exceptional lists of natural wines. I don't know anything about natural wines, but I do know that a couple of the restaurants that were mentioned, L'Express it's a Montreal landmark.
That's on Saint Denis,
yeah,
right?
If you've never been to L'Express, you got to go. When you walk in the door, it's like walking into a restaurant in Paris, and the wine list is extensive and very reasonable. And the other ones that were mentioned that there was a bunch of them, like Larry's, I haven't heard of. Mon Lapin, I've heard of that restaurant. And Elena is a great pizzeria in St. Henry. That made the list. And a restaurant that's a Thai restaurant, I think it's called Pekai. How would you pronounce that, Ted?
Hip hip Pekai. Let me see. Yeah.
Would you go
say
Pekai?
Pekai? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Monopole and Vin.
Yeah, I like that.
That's an interesting name.
Is there an exclamation mark at the
No,
after the third vin?
No,
I would have put are there commas?
Yeah. No, just Vin.
I would have gone vin exclamation mark, but it's not my restaurant.
And I will never be going because it does not take reservations, and they don't have a phone. So good luck to you.
Yeah.
So then I would say a question mark is more appropriate.
Yes. That's Poseidon, by the way, who's producing the program today. Speaking of Sugar Sammy,
we told you to buy tickets.
I saw your post.
We told you.
I saw your
Did
post.
we not tell you?
We told you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they're selling out.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still get tickets, but
The extra shows.
Yeah. He actually added a show for Montreal, October 19th. which is a Saturday. Sammy has added a 9:30 show because the 7 o'clock show is sold out.
Really?
So he's added a 9:30 show. As of this morning, I checked his website. Tickets are still available for the 9:30 show. Otherwise, you're going to have to go to Gatineau to see him before next year. And that's this coming weekend. Friday, the 11th of October, 7 o'clock show sold out, but still tickets available for 9:30. And Saturday, both shows, I believe, still have tickets available. Go to sugarsammy.com, but go now. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Go now, because you're not going to get, you're going to have to go to Winnipeg. If you, seriously. If you don't see him in Montreal or in Ottawa, Gatineau this weekend or Montreal next weekend, you're going to have to go to Winnipeg because that's where he's going next.
Yeah. It's we said this on the last podcast. He sent me a note saying every show he did in 2023 and every show he did in 2024 are going to be sold out or have been sold out. And it's a testament to how funny he is, how great he is with the crowds. And I've seen him in all kinds of different venues now. I saw him at the Crise de Tabernacle Theater with you when we went to see them at the...
I think it's the Salle Pierre Mercure.
Théâtre Crise de Tabernacle.
No wonder Buddy wants his own country.
And I've seen him in San Francisco.
That was in a club, right?
That was in a club.
So how different is his show in a club versus a Montreal You're Gonna Rear show?
Well, because
he's playing to a completely different crowd, right?
Yeah, but he's so au courant. He's so current on local events. Like if he goes to San Francisco, he spends time there learning about the community and some of the idiosyncrasies.
That's called being a pro.
That's exactly right. He does the work.
Yeah.
And Washington and Chicago and Austin and Dallas and Houston. We wanted to go see him in Dallas because Jess and I are JFK assassination fans, not fans of the assassination.
Remember the time?
We loved that. No, but we loved.
And then as an extra bonus, Jack Ruby shot Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. And so is Sammy. Sammy is very keen on history.
Okay.
And said we should see him in Dallas, and we'd made plans, but we didn't. Anyway, it didn't happen. But he does extremely well no matter where he is, and that's because he's so goddamn talented.
Yeah.
He's just terrific.
He could do a full show on crowd work.
Absolutely.
Just working the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as Terry said, he puts in the work, which makes it just that much better.
Yeah. Do, dee, da, 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 da.
Will do.
I'm sure he's thrilled with this little commercial because Sammy is a supporter of the podcast.
Yeah, he's just one of our sponsors.
Deeply, deeply appreciative. Yeah. Make sure you go to sugarsammy.com.
And then after...
Should I go to my notes?
Why not?
Okay. One thing I didn't miss, we spent a lot of time talking about missing the, I missed this about Quebec and that about Quebec. And you know what I didn't miss? The bureaucracy. I'm still waiting for a Medicare card, and everybody I talk to goes, good luck.
And I see you've still got your British Columbia license plate.
Yes.
And how long have you been back for? 2 months or more?
I hate having that plate. Here's the story of my British Columbia license plate. It's a little creepy because people keep sending me pictures of my car. So people are seeing me in traffic, taking a picture of the back of my car.
They're stalking you, man.
And sending me pictures saying, hey, is that you? And it is, because when I was in British Columbia, I thought this will be clever and fun. And my plate says CHOMFM. And in British Columbia,
that means nothing.
Doesn't mean shit, right? But here in Montreal, it's a bit of an eye catcher, and free publicity for the radio
for
station.
A former employer.
Yeah, I guess. And I when I filled out, and I shouldn't say I filled out, Jess filled out the paperwork for getting my car registered and my driver's license. And she ticked the English box, and we got a note back saying, "Okay, English, we'll see you next year." I got an email saying we might get to you in December.
Yeah.
So I can't I can't get I'm dying to get a Quebec plate on my car.
What if you
and
actually
I gotta wait.
physically went to the license bureau?
Well,
would that not expedite the process? Because it seems to me I do my license and my Medicare at the same place.
Yes, but the Medicare people haven't got in touch, and it's like it's a whole thing. And I have to tell you, and it's probably because it's a smaller province. When I was in British Columbia, it was easy peasy. And when you went to the license bureau, everybody smiled and sang songs.
Really, eh?
Well, not
were they
songs.
high? Were they on BC mushrooms?
They might have been.
Yeah.
But it's, hi, how are you? How can we help you today?
That's nice.
It is. It's a lovely thing.
I went for some health care yesterday and was treated very well at the Jewish General Hospital.
Yes.
And I went, I had to go to a specific place for a specific test. And you know how big the Jewish is. All the hospitals are massive, right? So the directions I had were kind of sketchy. So I went into one wing and I went up to the receptionist and I said, I got an appointment. Am I in the right place? And she said, well, this is the psychiatric ward. She said, is this where you need to be? And I said, well, officially no, but a case could be made. And we both had a good laugh. I had to go to neurology. So she sent me to neurology. And while I was waiting for my appointment, I texted Cleve Ziegler, our friend who's the director of gynecology at the Jewish.
Great podcast guest, by the way.
Yeah, and I told him what happened. I said I went into the psych ward by a mistake, and the receptionist and I had a good laugh about that. And he responded, I understand the rooms are beautiful and the food's not bad.
Did you finally make it to neurology?
Yeah, I got there, and Isabel from Saint Hyacinthe was my technician and took good care of me.
You had your EEG.
I had my EEG. A, B, C, D, E, E, G. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Psych ward. You want the psych ward, sir? I have to say thank you to the folks at Cardiogenics took me back. So I am now back in the very good hands of Dr. Uman. I'm very, very lucky. I have been able to avail myself of that private clinic. So that part of it is taken care of. Even my dermatologist, Dr. Graton, took me back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was afraid that I would call these doctors and they would say, I'm sorry, we don't remember you. Go away. And my cardiologist, Dr. Smilovich, they all said, we'd love to have you back. What a nice welcome home.
So they're all
was.
under the Cardiogenics umbrella?
No, Dr. Graton's been my skin guy for probably 30 plus years. And Dr. Smilovich was part of the team that helped save my life because they found my bad valve.
While you were still here?
While I was still here, they diagnosed it, yeah.
Okay, and then they did the operation in Vancouver.
They did, where those guys saved my life. Let's talk about something other than stuff that's going to make you faint.
I was going to say, speaking of rewiring.
Yes.
Yeah. We've got the company for you if you need some rewiring at the home or some wiring in a new home or any kind of electrical work or a generator. Talk to our friends at Accutech Electric, and I got the name of the company that they work with in terms of generators. Generac.
Cool.
That's who Tom and Trish and the gang at Accutech work with, and Trish told us and thank you, Trish and Tom, for re-upping with the podcast as sponsors.
Nice to have you back.
Yeah, we said, what do you want us to talk about? And the first thing she said was generators,
yeah.
And you can relate.
I can because we bought a home in the Laurentians, and my wife, who's from up there, grew up in the Laurentians, said, we're going to have to get a generator because of all the trees around our property, for example. And the fact that you're living in the country, wires come down more frequently, so power outages are more frequent. And she said, we have to get a generator. And as Trish has pointed out, when you get a generator, you can't just plug that in the wall.
No.
Yeah, you need professionals to look after it for you.
And they consult with Generac, and they can consult with you and get it figured out and get that generator in for the wintertime. And I think increasingly that's like a must-have.
Yeah,
if you're a homeowner.
Really is. Yeah, it really is. It was one of the things. Well, we were up in our new house for about a month when the lights went out for many hours, and that's when Jess said we're gonna have to get a generator. So Accutech can look after that for you, and also if you're renovating and or you've just bought a strip mall and you need to redo the wiring,
Yeah, they'll do commercial as well.
Exactly. Yeah, the folks at Accutech are a family-run business. You know how much we love those. Very lovely people and very, very good at what they do. Accutech, it's ACUTECH.
.ca.
There you go. Let's talk about something that I wanted to mention, all right?
Sure, go ahead. Back to you.
This coming, I don't know what day it is, October the 17th at the Forum Cineplex. If you're a Tom Petty fan, don't miss this. I don't know why I'm pointing at you.
I don't know either.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'm pointing at Ted. Cameron Crowe, you know who Cameron Crowe is?
Yeah, he's a filmmaker.
He's a filmmaker. He directed a very, very, very famous movie with the Elton John scene in it, and it's called... God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Almost Famous.
There you go.
Almost Famous.
Yeah, well, that's from a while ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. And he was a Rolling Stone writer, and he's a film director. And in 1983, Tom Petty gave him backstage all the time, all day.
Unlimited access.
Yeah, unlimited access. And he put out a movie called Heartbreakers Beach Party. And the film disappeared. It never showed in theaters, or it showed in theaters, and then nobody knew where the film was. And Cameron Crowe found the master, has redone the film, and this amazing access to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers is called Heartbreakers Beach Party, and it's going to show October 17th and 20th at the Forum Complex. If you're a Tom Petty fan, and I am, this looks like it's terrific. You can find the trailer on YouTube, and I when I Googled it, I thought, boy, I hope this is coming to Montreal, and it is. At the Forum Cineplex, October 17th and 20th. If you're a Tom Petty fan, it looks like the access that Cameron Crowe had is amazing. And Cameron Crowe was writing for Rolling Stone when he was like 15 years old. He's an unbelievable musicologist. So this is probably going to be a terrific film.
Should we do the tweet sheet?
If you like.
I'm quite excited about the tweet sheet as I am.
Sheet. Yes.
Poseidon likes it as well. And you know who else likes it?
Who?
Well, the folks whose tweets we quote unquote steal and use for laughs. I post them online,
yes.
and I always give them credit, and they love it. They like they appreciate that. Because it's Twitter is a little bit like what we used to do on the radio. You put something out there and you go home and go, I wonder if that resonated with anybody, if anybody liked that. So they like the fact that we give their tweets a bit of a boost. And there's as much as there's a lot of screaming and yelling and hate on Twitter, there's still a lot of funny there.
Yeah, there is.
And I mine some of it every week for the tweet sheet. 3 tweets that I think will make Terry and Poseidon laugh. And I'm pretty sure these ones are going to. I think I found 3 pretty good ones this week.
Coffee again.
By the way,
it's empty. Don't worry.
By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, you can read along with us.
Yeah.
But if you've downloaded the podcast and you're listening in your car, we'll just read them for you.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the second one, Poseidon.
Okay.
All right, here's one from @DexterIsTwisted. Pro tip, turn any sofa into a sofa bed by telling your girl to calm down.
His handle is Dexter is Twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like that. From @Benedict'sRed. Took my grandpa to dinner tonight, and the waiter pointed out a QR code where the menu could be found. My grandpa shot him. That waiter died in my arms. Grandpa having no part of the QR code, eh?
No.
And I don't blame him. Yeah, that's a restaurant saving money on menus, so they don't have to print menus, but do you think they pass the savings on to you?
No, it's a throwback to COVID.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
It's one of the things that COVID changed, and a lot of people haven't departed with.
Anyway, good for Grandpa for gunning down the waiter. And lastly, on the tweet sheet this week, from @FuneralPig, punching a ghost in the stomach. Hunt this, you piece of shit. I like that on every level. I like the joke and I like the handle. Funeral pig.
Yeah, funeral pig. That's a little dark, eh?
Yeah. Funny though.
Here's the thing I wanted to mention this week is Jess and I binged a show called Nobody Wants This on Netflix, and it stars Kristen Bell and Adam Brody. I'm pleased to admit that a couple of years ago, Jess said to me, "Have you ever seen the OC?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And she said, "Well, you're gonna." And we watched, I don't remember how many seasons of the OC, and I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I think a 90s, pretty sure a 90s show. And Adam Brody was in that, and it was terrific. It was absolutely.
He must have been very young. If it was the 90s.
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Does the OC stand for Orange County? Is
Yes.
that what it's about?
Yeah.
Orange County, California.
And it's about kids in Orange County.
Right.
It's and a lot of the stars of that show went on to have really, really great careers.
He won an Oscar for The Piano, did he not?
Adam Brody?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think he won Best Actor.
Did he really?
Yeah, for the Holocaust movie. Was it called The Piano?
Yeah. Was that Adam Brody?
Yes.
Was it?
No.
The
No.
pianist.
The Pianist.
Yes.
No, I'm thinking of Adrian Brody. My
Thank
mistake.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the Brodies.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Are they brothers?
I don't think so.
Okay, back to you. Never mind.
Anyway, and Kristen Bell she's been in all kinds of things. She's Dax Shepard's wife. And the name of the show on Netflix is called Nobody Wants This. And I thought, this is an odd name for a show. And here's the premise. And I think this is a terrific premise. Nobody's covered this. Adam Brody is a rabbi. He's a young rabbi, young up-and-coming rabbi in California. And Kristen Bell, he falls in love with Kristen Bell, but she's a shiksa. And there is 10 episodes that are beautifully written, very funny, very, very clever writing, some terrific characters about the clash that ensues when a rabbi falls in love with somebody who isn't Jewish, and the Jewish family and the other family. And I know it's been covered in other comedies, but I can't say enough nice things about this episode or about this series. Jess and I really, really loved it. And I thought it would resonate with Montrealers, especially because we have such a vast Jewish community here. And I know it's been a topic of conversation at a lot of tables. I've met a lot of friends over the years who, came from families where that caused tension if you fell in love with somebody outside the religion.
We have a close friend.
Yes.
From up the hill in Westmount.
Yes.
Very waspy.
Yes.
Who married a Jewish girl, and they have 2 sons.
Yeah, and it's 3. And
3?
Yes, twins and one other one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, and it's really it's a topic that I don't know if I could call it universal, but I think as a Montrealer,
very relatable. As a Montrealer,
very relatable,
sure, yeah.
very, very funny. And if you put it on, just give it a minute because it's not slapstick fall down the stairs funny. But it's subtly very, very hilarious.
Is it firmly entrenched in the comedy genre, or is it a drama that's funny?
It's a bit of a drama that's really funny in places with some really, really strong characters. Really, really strong characters. And it was one of those things that ended and you thought, shit.
I want more?
Yeah, because now with streaming, like, for example, if you're a Stranger Things fan, that left you hanging, I think, almost 2 years ago now, and it takes like a couple of years to get the series, back on television so you can watch another 6 or 7 episodes of it.
What's it called again? Because I forget already.
Right. It's called Nobody Wants This.
Okay.
And it's on Netflix. I think you would like it a lot. It's my recommendation this week. We have no regular features other than the tweet sheet, but every week we try and mention something. I try and look for something from music. Ted likes to tell a transit story. We recommend things that we've seen on the TV. Sometimes we talk about sports.
What was the transit story I was telling you on the way over, and I said we should tell that on the podcast?
Yeah, it's the driver that missed your stop. Oh, yeah. Ted, we should say that Ted has a car and has been banned from driving while they sort out his...
banned is a bit strong.
Yeah, not banned. But
yeah, I'm on an anti-seizure medication
yes.
for epilepsy,
Yes.
and when you go on this medication, your license is automatically suspended for 6 months.
Yes.
You have to be 6 months seizure-free before you can, if you're on this medication, before you can drive again. So I've been taking public transit, which is fine because at this time of the year, the weather's fine for the most part. I mean, we're getting into the colder weather now, but I'm not in a hurry because I'm not working. So anyway, on the way back from the hospital yesterday, I was on the Crosstown 72, which drops me right in front of my place. Like it stops right in front of my place, which I love that about that particular bus. So, so we're on Hymas and we're heading towards my place and Hymas Hillary, and I stand up and I press the little button, ping. And the bus driver goes right past my stop. And I'm like, ping, 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 ping. So he stops. I walk up to the front, monsieur, and he goes, sorry about that.
He was daydreaming, I guess.
I guess,
didn't hear it? Yeah.
No, he heard it.
Oh, he did?
You can't miss it. Yeah, and there's a big red sign.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah.
The last time I was on a bus, you pulled the cord.
Some of them still have the cord.
Is that
but
right?
yeah, a lot of them have on the pole that you hang on to so you don't fall over.
Yeah.
There's a red button, and you just press that.
And does it still go plink?
When you pull
like
the
does
cord?
it sound like plink?
I guess, yeah. It's a ping or a plink. I didn't really pay attention. But anyway, it was like I was like Larry David, walking back. After he missed my stop.
You're enjoying it, though. Enjoying it is the wrong word.
I don't mind.
But
there are worse things in the world than having to take
Absolutely.
the bus and the metro. And yesterday I took the New York Times Sunday crossword on the bus and the train with me. And I do that just to get attention. Because everyone else is on their phone.
Yeah.
And they see you sitting there doing a crossword puzzle. What's he doing?
Yeah. Look at Grandpa with that paper thing.
Exactly.
Well, I should, didn't somebody give you a seat? Somebody gave you a seat. Did we tell that story last week?
Yeah, we told that story, I think, last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the first time, a guy said to me, please take my seat. And I was like, do I look that old and decrepit?
Apparently.
Yeah, I guess.
We should mention we got some lovely feedback on the podcast that we mentioned last week. Remember we talked about John Kiriakou on that podcast, The Spy?
Yes.
Yeah. And everybody we recommended it to devoured it.
Yeah.
I got a note from our old producer, Jeff Bartlett.
Oh, yeah?
And Fuffus, as we used to call him. And Jeff said that he was listening to our podcast, shut off our podcast, and went right to the John Kiriakou podcast and listened to all 4.5 hours of it.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Well, that was the same thing with George, who I do the morning show here with.
Yeah.
He listened to it right straight through.
Yeah. As did you, eh?
So I didn't listen to it right straight through, but I listened
compelling.
I listened to part 1 all the way through, and then I listened to part 2. It's over 4 hours in total. Dalton Fisher is the host of the podcast.
Yeah.
And John Kiriakou is a former CIA case officer and one of the best storytellers I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And I went to another Dalton Fisher podcast. He'd interviewed a former Delta Force special operations military guy for the Americans. Not as good a storyteller as John Kiriakou, but still fascinating and just a different kind of personality, just like a stone cold killer.
Yeah.
Like it was chilling to listen to this guy.
Yeah.
He said he was talking about their, the operations that they would do in the Middle East after the Iraq invasion in 2003. And I don't remember this, but apparently there were 8 U.S. Marines who were kidnapped, tortured, and murdered by, I don't know who, but by one of the terrorist groups over there. And they sent in the Delta Force, and they got even. And he said, one of the things this guy said, he says, when the black helicopters come, everybody dies. Oof. And he wasn't trying to be funny.
No,
he wasn't trying to be
glib.
funny.
Yeah.
He said, you kidnap and torture American soldiers, we will find you, we will kill you, we will kill your family, your village, your pet, we will kill your fucking goldfish.
Wow.
We will fuck you up all day long, every chance we get. And I was like,
Yeah.
And he wasn't kidding.
No, I know.
Like he was serious.
Yeah.
Like I say, stone cold killer.
It's a guy that you don't want to accidentally knock his beer over.
No, you don't. No, you want to stay as far away from him as possible. But it's the Dalton Fisher podcast, and it's a look into a world that we know exists. But this gives you some real insight into what actually happens in that world.
By the way, we mentioned this at the top of the podcast, but I'll mention it again. We do have an email account now. So if you want to email us and ask us about anything that we talk about or, suggest things to us, which we're happy to entertain, standingbythepodcast@gmail.com. Standingbythepodcast@gmail.com.
Or if you have a charitable event that you would like promoted.
Yes.
We'd be happy to do that for you.
Yes. And I'm going to be hosting a charitable event coming up. I'm going to get the details, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I think we should say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back. No, I know you had a lineup for our friends, and I just wanted to know. See, you're much better at the segue thing than I am.
Yeah, I am.
And now,
not at the moment.
A word from Pop-Tarts. Nope, that's not it. Okay.
Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Cripes.
Yeah, how about that?
When was the last time you had a Pop-Tart?
I took a bite of a Pop-Tart probably about 2 months ago.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why we had them in the house, but we had them in the house.
I don't think they're real good for you.
No,
I don't think there are a lot of natural ingredients in Pop-Tarts.
No, I think the first ingredient is cardboard. If I'm not mistaken, and I might be. No, we had a lineup for all of the lovely sponsors, and you said, let's make sure that we...
Well, let's talk about the Mersons. Have I spoken? Yes, I have spoken to you since, and spoken on the podcast since I had my accident on the way to the Mersons.
Yes.
But that wasn't my fault. That was Amber's fault. Although I heard subsequently that Amber blamed me. Amber's a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Amber's a friend of mine, and because I can't drive right now, she drove me to Merson. She drove my car to Merson so I could get my summer tires on, or winter tires on, because I wanted to take advantage of the early season deals that they have. And she's Zach's girlfriend, my good friend Zach. Amber is his girlfriend. And Zach was telling me that Amber was saying to him when he asked her about the accident, Amber was going, well, Ted, he wouldn't stop telling jokes, and he had music on the radio, and so she was sloughing it off on me. I was very distracted because Ted wouldn't shut up. And that's why I rear-ended the guy in front of us.
Oh, God.
So apparently it was my fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And you were at the Mersons because you were we put a picture up of you getting brand new winter tires because it was time.
Yeah, brand spanking new winter tires, and the Mersons could have sold them to me last year, but they said to me, as they always do, you know what? You can get another year out of those winter tires that you've got now, but next season you're going to need new ones. So I had time to think about it and to put the money aside, and they didn't hard sell me, and they never do. Unless if I had needed winter tires right away, they would have told me.
Yeah.
But because I didn't need them right away, they told me that.
Yeah.
Same thing with brakes, with whatever, And I had a piece, I've got something wrong with my starter. And Charlie, who's their service manager, said to me, you're going to have to get that done at some point. He said, and that's a dealer job.
Yeah.
We can't do that. That's a dealer job. You're going to have to go to the dealer to get that done. And I'm like, no,
Honesty.
I don't want to go to the dealer.
I know.
I want you guys to do it
Yeah.
because I know you're not going to gouge me. And I know when I go to the dealer, they're going to say, oh, by the way, you also need this and that and the other thing, because that's the way the dealers work, right?
Yeah, and also their hourly rates at the dealers are just nuts.
Yeah, no, go to Merson Automotive because they'll treat you right. They'll they're honest with you. They won't lie to you because they want you to come back. They want to keep you as a customer. It's just good business to treat people right.
And the thing that I was reacquainted with when we were in that day, you were, taking care of the paperwork, and I was just standing in the waiting room looking around, and I'd forgotten this. Merson's is so chill. There's a real chill vibe when you walk in there. Nobody's yelling. Everybody's
even when it's busy.
Even when it's busy, everybody is just really friendly and smiling and answering questions and telling you the truth about your car and your vehicle.
Yeah.
It's a great family business.
Tires are their specialty, but they also do automotive maintenance and repair, whether you drive an electric car or old school internal combustion engine. they can take care of you. And if there's a problem that they can't take care of, they'll tell you who can and send you there.
There you go. The Mersons, they have been associated with us for a very long time, and we have loved them for a very long time. Speaking of local events, I have been asked to host and have agreed to host the Gold Rush Gala Charity Casino Night. I got a note from Marina a few weeks ago, who's the acting executive of something called Yes Employment and Entrepreneurship. This is an organization that is, well, you should just go to the website and look at the Gold Rush Gala. Secure your spot and explore the auction items at a website called tuneintoyes.com. That's tuneintoyes.com. They're having a big event. It's a gala night where there's going to be dinner and an auction, and they're going to explain what they do to help promote local businesses in the English community. And we're pretty excited to be associated with that night, and I'm pleased that they asked me to host the event. It's called the Gold Rush Gala, and it's next Thursday, October the 17th. And you can get your tickets by going to the website, supporting this organization, and probably getting some pretty cool stuff. tuneintoyes.com for the Gold Rush Gala Charity Casino Night.
You going to have to dress up all fancy for that?
I'm not sure if I got to put on the whole dog and pony show. I don't think so. I'm not much of a dog and pony show guy. Well, I never was.
Yeah.
You know how much I used to love to dress up.
Oh, it was your favorite.
Oh, yeah. yeah. Really enjoyed that.
We're going to be hosting competing events that night. Did
Are
you
you?
know that? Yeah.
You're going to be out and about?
I'm going to be hosting a comedy show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
Comedy fundraiser. It's for the Douglas Hospital. And it's also Thursday, October 17th. I'll be emceeing. Joey Elias, our great and good friend, will be headlining. And that's going to be held at, let me just make this bigger so I can see it.
Okay.
Microbrasserie Cat Origine. And that's on Hymas. They were good enough to hold it right down the street from my place.
I was going to say, you won't need to take the bus that night, eh?
No, I'll just walk down. Yeah, it's on Hymas, a little bit east of Sources, if I'm not mistaken. Comedy Matters, it's called, in support of the Douglas Hospital Foundation. I've got the poster, and I'm going to put it up on my social media and the podcast social media platforms a little bit later on. If you want to go out and have a few laughs, Joey's always great. Joey's the best.
Yeah, and he does so much for the community.
He really does.
Yeah, he really does. And now look at sports. Have you seen the Prime Video thing?
I watched the first episode this morning.
What'd you think?
I thought it was really good filmmaking and really good storytelling, but it was all about the Leafs, and I was like, fuck off. Fuck off with the fucking Leafs, okay? But I know what they're doing. They're playing to the biggest part, the biggest audience demographic, right? And it's a six-parter, I think, right?
Six-parter.
So in the first episode, the Leafs get eliminated from last year's playoffs. Yeah. So I assume that they're gone now. Yeah. That's it. It's not going to be about the Leafs anymore.
I've watched 3 episodes, and there's a coverage of. You saw Pasternak and Nylander. They were kind of the focus of the first one.
And that was in it. That was interesting. The opposite teams, long-standing friendship. Yeah, so it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. I got over myself, but as soon as they were all Leafs all the time, right out of the gate, I was like,
Christ.
Fuck off. But that's just me being a Montreal or an Habs fan.
It's 6 episodes, and it is called Inside the NHL. It's on Prime Video. If you're a hockey fan, it's a must-see. And I thought we should mention, speaking of hockey, the Habs Blood Donor Clinic is a week from today, Wednesday, October the 16th. And I didn't know this. You can make an appointment to show up at the Bell Center if you like. They accept walk-ins, but you can also, if you want to give blood and meet some of the Habs players there all day long, it's from 8 till 7, Wednesday, October the 16th. At the Bell Center from 8 until 7. I just said that. And you can go online to the website and book an appointment if you like, or just pop by and drop a pint on the Quebec. They would appreciate that.
Can you send them a pint, or do you have to
You could
actually
try. In a Ziploc bag. Here you
Pass
go.
me that razor blade, will you?
That's something you should leave to the professionals. I
Probably,
think.
yeah.
Poseidon? Yes. You okay?
I'm fine.
Just checking in with you as we get ready to. We're getting ready to wrap up the episode already, Ted.
We
Where
can't-
where did the time go?
Cleveland.
Okay.
We
yeah.
can't finish without Cleveland. We can't finish without saying hello and thank you to our friends at Robert Richer Jewelers.
Oh,
Pierre
boy.
has left for Antwerp, the diamond capital of the world.
Yes.
But I sent Linda a note yesterday and said, I know Pierre's already gone, but can people still get in touch with him if they want to, if they need a diamond hand-picked? And she said, by all means. Get in touch with Linda at the store, and she can get you in touch with Pierre. Pierre goes to Antwerp twice yearly. It is the diamond capital of the world. And if you're wondering why Antwerp, this is on the Robert Richer Facebook page, which is Robert Jewel Richer. That's their Facebook page. Why Antwerp? Between 80% and 90% of the world's rough diamonds and 50% of cut diamonds are traded in Antwerp each year. So you know the quality of the diamonds is top notch. And Pierre, as an expert gemologist, can handpick the diamond that you want and need for the special person who you want to hang on to.
Yeah.
Nothing will keep him coming back like a nice diamond, eh?
And I think it's really, really cool that he's invited. He's invited
Yes,
to go.
he
That's
gets
how much
access,
respect
yeah.
they have for him.
Yeah, he gets access that not a lot of gemologists get in the diamond capital of the world. He's there now, and I think he's there for 8 days. He went on Saturday. October 5th, he arrived. So he's there for several more days. If that's something that interests you, you want to get that special something for that special someone. And here's a pretty good deal. The first 10 clients who buy a diamond worth $4,000 or more while Pierre is in Antwerp, get a free trip to Vegas.
This is really something.
Yeah,
That's
3
really
days
cool.
and 2 nights in Vegas.
Yeah, on them.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So go to robertricher.com, or you can also go on their Facebook page. Watch some of Linda's videos. Linda's got some really cool videos. They've got a YouTube channel, and Linda talks about different things, jewelry related. Traveling with jewelry is one of her videos. And I didn't know this, but some people travel with, what did she call it? Not show jewelry.
Yes.
But like not your good, real, valuable stuff.
Yes, when I was going to ask Jess to marry me, the jeweler that I bought my engagement ring from, long before we met,
Show jewelry.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
Yes, I told him what my plan was, and he said, "Oh no, don't." He said, because I was initially, it's a long story, and I won't bore you with it, but I was going to do it in Europe. I was going to ask Jess to marry me in Europe, and he said, "No, I'm going to make you a show ring." And I said,
There you go.
What's a show ring? And he said, No, you put the real one away. We'll give you a show ring. You use that one. And I didn't know that was a thing. But
No,
that's
nor
a
did
thing.
I. And when I was watching Robert Richer's YouTube channel yesterday, Linda did a whole video about that, and she's just so lovely. And
Yeah,
she's a classically elegant French Canadian woman, and friendly and nice and lovely and warm. And I watch her videos just for her. Never mind the jewelry thing. I'll watch the videos just for Linda. And I don't say that in a creepy way either.
Well,
she's so charming and nice.
And you'll know that because I was going to say, go visit the shop.
Yeah.
Because you'll see what we're talking about how nice they are if you visit the shop.
Yeah, 309 Dorval Avenue in Dorval, and online at robertricher.com.
Just before we go, I wanted to mention this. I want to just wish Neil Hyman well. Neil Hyman was an usher at the Bell Center. He was at every Habs game I was ever at. Nice guy, Facebook friend of ours. Just recently retired from being an usher for the Habs at the Bell Center. Neil, happy retirement. That's it, Ted.
All right, sir.
Yeah, we're all packed up and done.
Yeah, I'm going to go home and lie down a lot.
Okay. Our thanks to Poseidon for putting it together. Our thanks to Lesley Chesterman for being part of the show today. Don't forget, you can find her on Substack. And a big thank you to one of our executive producers, my wife, Jess, and to our podfathers, Mike Ward and Mr. Pantelis.
Couldn't do it without them.
Yeah.
Standing by, the Terry and Ted podcast has been brought to you by the UPS Store Canada, delivering more for small businesses in Canada.